Hello everyone, it's Patty Behan here, and in this video I'm going to show you how to make this cool grungy layout in the new Dina Wakley craft journal. I'll be using the gel plate and a brayer and some of the newest colors of gloss sprays, some Dina Wakley Media paints, some stamps and stencils, and let's get started. To begin, I have here the new Dina Wakley Media craft journal. It has 60 pages of heavyweight craft paper, and I have here some of the newest colors of the gloss sprays and a gel plate. It's 3.5 by 7 inches. This comes in the 3-pack gel plate by Ranger, and then it's on a Dina Wakley Media stamp block. And I'm working in a splat box with some scrap paper, and I also have a brayer. So to start, I'm going to add some apricot paint to the gel plate, and I'll squirt some onto the gel plate here, and then I'll brayer it to spread it out. And when you're using a brayer, you want to make sure you roll and lift. Do not squeegee back and forth because you won't get all the paint evenly distributed. And then I think I need a little more paint here, so I'll go ahead and put some more, just another little dot. And then I'm cleaning off my brayer on the journal, and then you'll notice there's some feet on the brayer, so that will elevate the brayer and you can put it on your table. Now I have Sedona gloss spray, and you want to make sure you shake it up and then just spray it randomly right onto the wet paint. And then I'm going to add another color, but before I do that, I'm just wiping off the nozzle so that it doesn't clog. And now I'm going to use lapis. Same thing, shake it up. And I'm going to spray it on here. And just be advised, you can make mud when you mix the Sedona and the blue, but I'm going for a grungy look, so that's okay. And then I have blushing is the next color, and I'm just going to do this to lighten it up a little bit. Just a couple sprays. Okay, and now since we're working on the stamping block, we can stamp right into the journal. And you can see it has a nice variation of color, and I'm just going to go ahead and stamp it and then lift it off. And then there still may be some paint left on there, so I'll go ahead and stamp it one more time. And then we want to still finish our background, so we're going to repeat the same process. I'm putting on some apricot paint, wiping off my brayer, adding some sprays, and let's do this one more time. I added a little more of the apricot onto the page just to lighten it up just a bit. And then that's it. Now you have your background, and we're ready to go on to the next step. We're going to let this dry, and I'm going to clean this up, and I'll be back. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to stencil. And I have a Dina Wakley Media Pieces stencil, and I also have some lemon paint, and again the same apricot. I'm going to put some onto the craft sheet, a dot of each, and I'm going to just mix them together just to lighten up that yellow a little bit so it's not so bright. If you're not getting the shade that you like, you can go ahead and add some more paint and mix it up. And then once that's done, we'll just place the stencil onto the journal page and just randomly put the paint through the stencil. And repeat it as necessary. And then I think that looks good, so we're going to leave it at that. Now we're going to go ahead and just drop these in some water so we can clean them up later. And I'm using the Scribbled Silhouettes stamp set and then the Be Bold stamp set. And we're going to be using paint to stamp our figures. And I have here also a piece of Dina Wakley plain collage paper. One side is shiny and one side is rough. I'm going to stamp onto the shiny side, and I have some night paint here, and I'm going to place some of the paint onto the craft sheet and take a blending tool with foam again, and I'm going to get an even coverage of paint on the foam. You don't want too much because you don't want the paint to be too thick on the stamp. So once you've got enough paint on the stamp, we're going to stamp it onto the collage paper. And we'll stamp one of these like so. And then now I'm going to switch stamps, and I'm going to do the same thing with the night paint. And then we'll go ahead and stamp it once on the collage paper, and then whatever left over we are stamping into the journal. Now I'm taking this last image and I'm going to stamp it 3 times, and I'm going back to this other image and stamping it on my paper once and then onto the journal. And then I'm going to cut these out, and I'll make sure I get the white out of the arms. And now that these are all cut out, I'm going to do some more stamping from the Be Bold set here, and I have a Ranger number 8 manila tag, and I'm going to stamp the sentiment Be Bold, Brave and Brilliant, and this time I'm going to use some black paint. And it's the same process. You put some paint onto the craft sheet, use a mini ink blending tool to apply the paint to the stamp, and I have to add a little bit more here. And then you go ahead and apply the paint to the stamp and stamp it on anywhere on the tag because we're going to cut this out. Just like so. And then we're going to put this in some water so that we can clean that up later. We'll put this aside a second to dry. And I'll get another tag here. And now I'm going to do these circles here one at a time. And for this first stamp, I'm going to use some lapis, same way. And then Sedona for this one. And for the last one, I'm going to do a mixture of like half and half. And then again, we're going to cut these out, and we don't want to have perfect circles. It looks kind of interesting when you have like crooked circles for this layout. And then I'm cutting out the sentiment. I'm adding a little more paint to grunge it up. And then I'm just placing all the pieces on here to see how I want to glue them down. And then I have some Distress Collage Medium and a palette knife. And what I want to do to glue these down is I want to cover the whole back of the stamped image. I like to use a palette knife because I just don't like to clean out the brushes. A palette knife is easier to clean. And then we want to put some on the front as well. And then once it's covered with the collage medium, you can go ahead and put it down on the page here. And you do have working time so before it dries, so if you want to move things around, you can do that as well. Add some more collage medium on top and repeat that with the 3 pieces. And then once I get all the collage paper glued down, I'm going to go ahead and glue these other elements down. Okay, I think that's good. And then we have our finishing touch here. We're going to add some drops of the gloss spray onto the page for that extra interest and texture. And I'm using Sedona. And then I'll just flick the paint onto the page randomly. And then I have Ancient is the next color I'm using. And I'll bring it up closer so you can see. It just adds that extra detail to the page, and then we're done. We have this cool grungy layout, and usually I like to do pretty frilly journal spreads, so this is really outside my comfort zone, but I really love how it turned out, and I hope that you did too. So if you'd like to give this a try, we have a link to the full supply list in the description box below. And for more crafty videos, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next time.